goes up like we do. No one does us like we do. Always go hard with this crew. Welcome to the show, let's make moves. Nothing's gonna stop us, it's about to get rough. Turn the whole room up, it's never enough. Let's go, 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 let's go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and no, don't adjust your screens. Mr. William Morgan is on assignment, and I am Josh, the Snow Cone Haney, and I am joined by two of the brightest minds in sports, and I'm gonna waste no time. I'm gonna bring them on. I've got Seven and the Dick here tonight.
What's up, buddy? We should just be a morning show. Seven and the Dick. Get on a rock station.
I love it.
We just have like all those buttons on the soundboard, just like the Dick. There's like fart noises and things.
Dude,
it would literally be a live
action
action version.
Give me time.
Just make it a live action version of what is that one from Family Guy? Is it Winky in the Butt?
Winky in the Butt.
I think it's like Dinky in the Butt. Yeah, something like that. I can't remember.
It's Winky in the Butt. I've seen that episode 1,000 times. It's Winky in the Butt.
Hey, Snowcone, you went a really interesting way with your hair. It's it's a Houston Oilers logo in it. How did you braid that in there? It's a
little faded and everything. So covering it up. All right.
Good.
So Seven, before I even hit your intro, do you have anything to talk about in the baseball world today?
Not really. The needle hasn't really moved. Talks aren't going to resume until next week. They were at this point. They've still got about 10 weeks to get everything going again before shit's going to start getting fucked up. But just gotta kind of have to wait and see right now.
Since we're just in this holding period, this just brings me to a question I have. Will it get solved before my season is shortened? In your opinion? Or is Rob Manfred just too big of a dipshit?
I mean, it really kind of depends. The players are aware, as well as the owners, that if the season gets delayed, baseball will die. Baseball will die. Maybe not right away, but baseball will die. Because you're not going to, what are they going to do? Have a second steroid era and hope it works again? I mean, that's where they should go. Yes. Let's be honest. But realistically, I would say it's going to get done. I think the players are going to walk away really pissed off.
But they're going to be the ones. They'll be the ones to fold it because they know if they don't, their livelihood is done. Like done.
Yeah, and I think they're going to do what they can to get as many concessions as possible. I think the service time manipulation is going to be one thing they won't bend on, but they'll bend on the revenue sharing if they can get the service time manipulation fixed. Because from my understanding and reading everything, that's kind of where the priority is going to be. And I think that's what it's going to take to break the stalemate. Is just that right there. Right. For the last few weeks, we've kind of demonized all the owners and everything. I mean, let's not act like the players aren't out for that money too. I mean, it comes down to that they want the money as well. And if the owners throw enough of it at them, they will get them to bend on points that, you know what I'm saying? Like it's about money to everybody. Let's be honest. I mean, it's a union negotiation. That's all it ever is. It's business.
Always money.
It's always about money. It doesn't matter whether it's the Kellogg workers that were having to negotiate for their shit because they were working 8 shifts a week, or athletes negotiating contracts and stuff like that. Like it's all about business. And yes, the players want more of the revenue, but they want more of what's on the table. I mean, if you had a voice and you were sitting at the table trying to negotiate your pay and you knew that the company was dealing with record profits, you're like, heck no, I want more of that. It's fucking logical. I mean, so
you look at the John Deere things, which one is that actually solved and like they're back to work. Like it shows you that you've got to find respect for both sides. You've got to find that middle ground, and the MLB is just so far from that. I don't know. Like that's why I asked, because just the way that the owners and Manfred act, like are they gonna concede on anything to get anything done?
I would think from a business standpoint, at some point they're going to have to realize that they need to, and I think that this could just be more about having a quieter off season while COVID goes on, so that they can kind of watch and they can also sit down with and really break stuff down and get down to nitty gritty on some shit. And that's all fine and dandy, because honestly, right now it's not hurting anything. It does come down to, as long as they get it done before the season starts. The other piece to consider here is these guys, they both know what's at stake. And the reason why the owners have been villainized to this point, from my perception, from a lot of perception, even if you look on, the social media circles in baseball, the owners are definitely getting demonized. And that comes down to the players are wanting to sit at the table and negotiate everything. They're wanting to be reasonable and look at this from a reasonable business aspect and negotiate everything. The owners are sitting there with lists of stuff that they won't negotiate on. Hands down, no questions asked. This is what you're going to get. And that tells you where the two sides are at and why the ownership is being villainized, because right now, that's a fucking problem.
Yeah, that's just not good business either. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you think that they couldn't get in there and some of this stuff could be advantageous for both parties? You know what I'm saying? Like, they haven't went over all of it, and they haven't listened to player suggestions on this stuff. So why can't it be advantageous for both parties involved? They just know that it's really advantageous for them right now. So let's just not talk about any of that stuff, because we can't get that changed. So.
Right. And that's the players are wanting to sit down and have both sides talk it out. The players are wanting to be reasonable, and the owners, and here's the thing. The truth of the matter is, the reason that baseball will die, whether it's because of this situation or in the future, is the divide between ownership and players. If baseball does not fix this, even if they get through this negotiation, the season goes off without a hitch and everything's fine. If they don't fix that divide between the ownership and the players, baseball will die eventually before the other leagues do, because of that reason.
Right. Baseball is already a decrepit 82-year-old.
They're struggling. They're starting to get rating wise. They're starting to get down with MLS ratings in some areas.
Yeah, that's.
And
rough.
I'm not knocking MLS. I love soccer, and I think that I'm happy to see that the MLS is rising in popularity in the US. I support that 100%. But the truth of the matter is, the MLB is struggling, and if they don't fix this and fix that divide so that they can work together to save that game, it's if not now, when?
Right. We should just boycott MLB right now and just be like, hey, see ya. We're moving on to the next topic, MLB. This is what everybody's going to do. They're going to move on from you.
And that's the thing, is until something actually develops and they're making progress, there's really not much else to talk about. And that's their brand dying out in conversation is the biggest voice in anything. Just wait until there's something that's newsworthy.
Right.
I agree. All right, then I guess it is on to the hardwood.
Hey.
Sorry, guys. My stuff is laggy as all shit today. So,
I did. No worries.
Taking a second.
So, NBA, people are playing basketball. Basketball's happening. It's all black guys and a couple of white guys are all doing their thing.
We should just spend the entire segment trying to figure out who the best American basketball white guy in the NBA is right now, because it's tough. I mean, it was Kevin Love for a little while. What is it, JJ Redick? No, he's old too.
Yeah, he's old.
Tyler Hero, possibly.
I mean, are you looking at like Hero Caruso? Caruso's white, isn't he?
Alex Caruso, yeah. I mean,
he has respectfully, since he's transitioned from the Lakers, he has done decently.
Caruso was a good player, with the. I mean, there are no great white American NBA players. Let me just clarify.
Yeah. No, that's pretty true. Like, sorry, Steve Nash is the last great one.
The
Is he
Kevin Love? Kevin Love was that with that?
Oh,
was that
okay,
MVP level?
Yeah, Kevin Love. Okay,
the MVP level. I'm trying to think of who was the last MVP level. I mean, Kevin Love was last MVP level. It's few and far between. There, what is it? Craig Elo ain't coming out of the woodwork here anytime soon. Elo guarding that Jordan jumper.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, now we're now at a point with the way things have been going with the Lakers, where clearly they're not performing to where they should be at this point. So, I mean, you look at Christmas Day, obviously they lost. What do the Lakers need to do to recover for the rest of the season? I guess that would be my question. Like, is there a trade or what do they do?
I have to pour a beer before we even get into this conversation. I have to have a full one for this whole conversation. I should probably light up a cigarette too, so I don't get too stressed out. Honestly,
and I know that LeBron is not the problem, and clearly the dude is putting up stellar numbers. He is playing his ass off, but he is not where he can carry an entire fucking squad anymore. He can't play 90 minutes a game.
No. And that's really the only reason why he can't carry the entire Lakers team right now is because there's no way that he's going to stay at this level if they play him for 40 minutes a game. There's no way he can stay like this.
No way.
So give him that. He's 32. I think he's averaging like 33 a game right now. He can play at this level still ridiculously. He turns 37 in 4 days, can still play at this level. But 33 minutes, he can't just be out there the entire game. It's not going to happen anymore. So
it's not. And here's the thing is, if any player at that age, you're not playing them 40 minutes a game. Phoenix is not playing Chris Paul 40 minutes a game.
No,
they could benefit from Chris Paul being at that elite level he can be at for 40 minutes a game, but he can't do that anymore. And it's not reasonable to expect him to be able to do that anymore.
There's very few guys in the NBA that are that old, period. I don't care riding the end of the bench, let alone averaging 25, 7, and 6 like LeBron is right now. Like,
right. No, and you're exactly right. And so then that begs the question. So what are the changes that they need to make to, not end up even being in a position where they miss the playoffs entirely? Like, what do they need to do?
I mean, the obvious answer would be for me to say that they need to get rid of Russ Westbrook. But at the same time, I don't think that's the answer. And that's not going to be the answer because good luck with that. He's at $41 million a year. $41 million a year. Even if they ate 25 of it, I don't think anybody's taking that deal. So Russ Westbrook is not going anywhere. The best case scenario for them right now is that they just band together and they just take all this hate, because there's dudes talking about like trading, like the Los Angeles intended to trade LeBron James came out. And that obviously was just a random leak through the journalism anal pipes, obviously. But
right, just people talking out of their ass.
Right. But at the same time, like, it's going to be this squad. I mean, you can add a piece at the trade deadline. It's not going to change that much. Anthony Davis needs to come back, and Anthony Davis needs to be 2/3 of Anthony Davis. I just want 2/3 of Anthony Davis, the old one.
That's reasonable. And
why don't I get the whole one is the question, but
no, and that's the thing is it's Anthony Davis, when he is healthy and on his game, is one of the top players in the NBA. There's no question. The problem with Anthony Davis is his availability. And so I can see why some people might try to throw something like that out there, but it's not realistic to think he's going to get traded either. So then you start to look at like, what piece do you trade for to try and at least make somewhat of an impact? What are you really going to just try and throw all in and actually trade AD and Russ to Portland to get Dame? Like, what do you do?
That's the dumbest thing ever, because that doesn't make
I know.
I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm saying like that is the dumb, because that is like the kind of thing going right now is like, let's get Dame Lillard. The whole team. Yeah. I mean, what do you do? Yeah, like that. That's not going to happen.
You're right. And no, but that's the thing is, it's like it's a legitimate question because if you're going to make a trade, who is actually going to make? What do you trade that's actually going to benefit both teams? Because that's how this is going to be looked at. Because you can't expect some fucking team. Oh yeah, we're just going to trade our best player for nothing. Like they're going to want something out of it too. So what kind of a package do you put together? Who do you grab? And
I'd say you almost have to go buyout market. So get a veteran who's going to get bought out, a couple of them maybe, and then just literally go straight banana boat crew. You know what I'm saying? Like just get everybody in there who's older, savvy, guys at the YMCA that beat you at the free throw line jumper and passing it. Like they like pass it behind their back with like their tube socks on and shit, like that kind of stuff. Like just try and trick your way into the NBA finals. Like try and like trickery and pump fake and McHale drop step your way into the NBA finals. But other than that, it's not going to happen. I mean, there's 6 in the West right now. The West is weird and terrible. And if they can slide in past Phoenix or Golden State at this point, anything can happen. I'm not going to say that they're even going to win a series, but
so
they're going to play in the playing game.
Do you think with the way they're playing right now, do you think that that's going to hold and they're going to be able to squeak into the playoffs?
They're definitely going to get into the playoffs. They take 10 seeds now. So they're definitely getting into the playoffs.
Okay. I forgot about that.
Well,
okay.
They're going to play in a play-in game
for sure. Game. Right.
Which they got beat in last year, obviously. And they got beat in last year, which was okay with me because obviously Phoenix goes and, has their run. And that makes it more kind of dulls the pain a little bit. But
right.
Yeah, they're definitely going to play in a playing game. If they can get in at 6, that's great because then you don't have to deal with Phoenix or Golden State. If Los Angeles has to play in Utah or has to play okay, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, no, that's
in Utah.
I mean, especially
Denver,
because at that point you're getting everybody should be back healthy by then. I think that's kind of what I think you're right. This is kind of what they're trying to do is just squeak into the playoffs, and then hopefully everybody is at 70% at least. And then you just try to bully your way through in 7 games.
Right. Just literally like guys at the old white guys at the YMCA, they'll be elbowing you in the face and stuff, like just doing some crazy shit to win, like hitting free throw line jumpers, man. Free throw line jumpers and free throws.
Can you imagine taking an elbow to the face from some of those guys, like from LeBron, just that big meaty bone-in ham just flying across your jaw?
Isaiah Stewart took the old back of the hand and then the elbow on the way through, the elbow and then the back of the hand on the way through.
Right.
And like, good luck with that. Like,
nope.
Good thing you're Isaiah Stewart. You're also 6'9", like 260.
Like I'm not one of those that really spends a lot of money on like pay-per-view type shit. But like if somebody was like, hey, there's a slap competition and LeBron entered, like, dude,
right,
take my money. LeBron, right. Shaq, like I'm all in on those.
Dude, the craziest thing about like I'm glad you mentioned Shaq because the craziest thing about those two is like they're like nice guys on the court. You know what I'm saying? Like they're like always like buddy with people and like they talk to everybody, but like nobody wants to fuck with them still. Like just because they are just at that point, it's just like Jesus. Like I don't want to fight that, even if he's not mean. Do you know what I'm saying? Like Isaiah Stewart wanted no part of LeBron James. He could have gotten a part of LeBron James if he wanted to. He didn't want it. He wanted to act like he did.
Yeah. He went and hid behind the people that were protecting him before he started running his mouth after all that happened. And I still don't think he meant to hit him like that. I think that was legitimately incidental. I still don't think he should have been punished. I think Isaiah Stewart should have gotten 2 games.
Happens all the time. Yes, absolutely. Yes, for freaking out like that, like and making that's borderline pre-Palace of the Auburn Hills shit, like where there's a guy running around like crazy and shit.
There was a complete lack of professionalism in that was just unreal to me, and it shocked the shit out of me that he only got the 1 game.
Yeah,
like I mean, it should have. I mean, I would have if it was up to me, it would have been 6, but I mean, 2 is the bare minimum for something like that. It should be.
Right, for just the unrest that you put through that stadium, I'm sure, like just how people felt after that happened. You know what I'm saying? Like just kind of like, I mean, it kind of gives seriously the House of Auburn Hills thing was rough, dude. That was like there was some serious injuries at that. People got chairs thrown at them. There was a lot of shit.
there and those environments are so charged that you can't begin to understand how one it's it's kind of like that old hunting thing where you're going along, all of a sudden that one twig snap and all hell breaks loose, the birds fly everywhere, the deer break loose, whatever the hell happens. Like
Right.
that's exactly what it is. Like it's such a volatile environment.
Yes.
And so just the complete lack of professionalism. And that's I felt that he should have gotten, he should have gotten a lot more. So all right, so we got, Lakers are going to squeak in. So now, who do you think gets the top seed in the West? You think Phoenix is going to hold it? You think Golden State's going to finish with it? What do you think?
I think Phoenix is going to be the 1 seed, and then I don't think it really matters at this point though, because I think honestly that they're going to be in the. I think it's 75-25. They're gonna be the Western Conference Finals teams. Everyone else is just a kind of a shit show mess of just debacled parts and injuries and people who have COVID and all this stuff.
You're right. I mean, and it's just like some of the issues that the NFL has seen. Like there was, I read a stat this morning that the NFL saw 286 positive COVID tests in the 2020 season. They've seen 400 in December alone.
Yeah.
So like a lot of these guys are just getting rocked for some reason. So you just gotta, a lot of these teams are just trying, man.
Tony, here's my thing about the COVID thing. When these guys get COVID, do these athletes even see very many, or they just get tested and they're like, hey, you have COVID. It's a virus. And they literally go home and they go in quarantine and nothing happens. Like how many of them have really no symptoms? Hardly any symptoms at all.
Well, in the NBA announced today that they've all of the leagues are shortening return times for asymptomatic and for asymptomatic people that test positive. And just like requiring, because I think the CDC recommendation changed today to if you test positive and you're asymptomatic, you have to quarantine for 5 days, and then you have to make sure you're careful and wearing a mask around anybody for the next 5 days.
Right.
So, which that's not. I don't think that's unreasonable, but at the same, so I'm assuming that the NBA and the NFL are going to be really quick to adopt that protocol, and that's probably going to mean a lot less games missed for players because of COVID moving forward. But I think the reason that the leagues are struggling with this is because you've got a disease that can either do nothing or permanently fuck up lung function. When you're dealing with athletes that are, that you're investing millions of dollars in each,
right.
You've got to make sure that you're protecting your investment, trying to, make sure that if something happens that you're not ending their career and costing yourself a bunch of fucking money.
Right. But at the same time, I would like to, on break, I'm going to get a rough number of how many positive COVID tests there's been in like the 4 major sports. I'm just going to just see if I can get a rough number. And I guarantee, has anybody died? Has any professional athlete died or even been hospitalized from COVID-19?
Hospitalized? No, not that I've seen. Not that I've seen now. But I have seen a lot of, some of the athletes that were symptomatic when they got COVID say that it did take them a while to get back taste or lung function, stuff like that, which, those are things that are still impacting them, and especially lung function primarily being the concern.
What is different?
Because
Tone, what is different than the flu then? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is?
It's a relevant question, but I think it just comes down to the long-term effects. Because with the flu, most of the time, like it's in and out, but similar to COVID, like if you're having longer-term problems, you go to the hospital. But like once it's done, it's done. The issue is people that I'm seeing at least, and I could be wrong. I'm not a fucking doctor. From what I've seen, the issue is more in the impacts that it can have long-term wise. than anything else. And that's why there has been such a strain for prevention. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of stupid rules. There's a lot of different information. I'm not, voicing opinions on vaccine or anything like that. That's
Right.
I'm not your fucking doctor.
Right.
But what I will say is, it comes down to with the COVID stuff, these teams are trying to protect their investment.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's the right way. I'm not saying it's the wrong way. I'm just saying I understand why they're doing it.
Right. For anybody, like you said, like I know that you're not trying to push any agenda on that stuff, obviously, because we aren't doctors, like you said. But for anybody who is doing that, like, come on, guys. Even the doctors who are treating this shit don't know what the fuck they're doing. Clearly, like even the doctors, they don't know what any of this is going to be. It's kind of science, guys. We gotta see what it does long term to figure it out. So we don't really know.
We can use computer models to map out what a disease can do, but there's no guarantee that that's right.
That it's going to not be a little bit of a variant or something. It's just so up in the air. It's the
same thing with anything. So you just have to kind of play it out by seeing. I think things are going to go back to normal in the next couple of years, hopefully. But it's just about being fluid. So tell you what, let's take a break. And then when we come back, we're probably going to dip into talking about some NFL because we had a lot of shit went down this week.
And then we're going to go back to talking about LeBron, and then we'll go back. I'm just kidding. He said no.
Not, no. Just negatory.
We're going to go over the career of Dirk Nowitzki.
Oh, not even a little bit.
Telling me to dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Sports Report. Josh is having technical issues, and Will is on assignment tonight, so it's just me and Dan. This is not a special edition of the Sports Report After Dark, but it's probably going to turn into that at some point because I have no self-control.
Right.
Really quick, the shows that you just saw commercials for, Drop the Mic, airs every other Tuesday, should be back after the first of the year. That is Josh and Pun diving into all things music-related, including news releases, news, and, nostalgia, talking about old favorites and different things that come up. Also, Geek Gauntlet podcast was advertised there Saturday nights on the William Morgan Media Twitch channel, live, going into all things geek related. That is hosted by Will and Shaw. And then also the Pinfall podcast, which is on Sundays. That will be returning after the first of the year as well. Going into all things wrestling related, WWE, AEW, indie stuff as it comes up that they can cover. It's a great show to watch if you're into wrestling. Big thank you to our sponsors, Gamerware. Use the code XXP on their website for 15% off. And also Raise Energy, repsports.com. We appreciate them as well. You can use the code GGN10 or XXP. I'm sorry, GGN10 or Pinfall for 10% off your entire order on the website. All right, Dan. So let's talk about LeBron's shy testicles. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so
oh, not so shy, Tony. Not so shy. Hey, also Josh having technical difficulties. Can we just do the math on how much that man spends on hair dye a month, and then add a couple of 100 megabytes to the internet speed? You know what I'm saying? Like, get a couple of extenders, something like that. Maybe just keep it the same for like 4 or 5 days instead of 2 or 3. I mean, am I that fucking like, seriously? I don't think it's that fucking crazy, Josh, to make that sacrifice for this network and for the rest of your team.
Oh God, when he sees this, he's gonna hit you. No. So okay, so before we move on to football, anything else you want to talk about on the NBA?
No. No.
Okay.
No. I mean, it's a shit show. It's a shit show in Los Angeles.
It really is.
Anthony Davis is infuriating me so much because I just can't. He quit, Tony. That's what I was going to say earlier. He just quit on when he got that contract, and that he won a title and got a contract in the same year. That guy's demeanor and mentality wasn't real great before he got that huge deal in that title. And now we're literally seeing like an NFL version of like Larry Johnson at this point, where he's just going to like, well, actually D Ross told us that Larry Johnson didn't quit. So that's a bad example. Like, anybody, Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, prime example. And also, he did not deserve as much money as he wanted.
Also,
that's
guys,
a completely different debate.
Not talking shit on guys who quit on that, because I'd do the same fucking thing. I'd be like, yeah, I played 4 years, and now you guys are going to be $100 million. See ya. I might show up at practice. I'm always hurt. My shin. It's my shin, coach.
I got shin splints.
I still got that 96 guaranteed, right? Yeah, I have a shin. I got a shin. I got a knee and an elbow also.
Knee and elbow.
You guys have fun practice though.
Okay.
Sorry, Tony.
What the fuck am I going to do with you? Okay. All right. Yeah. So let's get to talking to football. All right, so let's talk to football. So really quick, an update on Monday Night Football: Dolphins and the Saints. And end of the third quarter here, about 30 seconds left. Dolphins are up on the Saints 17-3. Tua Tagovailoa has thrown for 181 yards, and that's really the only stats that matter in that game.
I was watching earlier.
Jalen Waddle's almost got 100 yards. He's 9 receptions for 87 yards right now. That's not bad. It's good stuff.
Whenever a college teammate duo can just slice you up, it's not a good thing in the NFL. I was watching that game and I was like, this is like a college game. I was like, I don't want to watch this shit. Get this little quarterback that's throwing left-handed back there, like an RPO and shit. Like, oh, like, okay, I don't care. Like, I just don't care about the Dolphins. I really don't.
What do you? I don't know that you and I really ever talked about this. So what are your thoughts on Tua? Do you think he is a long-term option, whether it's in Miami or anywhere else? Do you think he is actually a franchise quarterback somewhere?
The only guy who has ever been that stature and has been able to have longevity and success is Drew Brees. The only guy of that stature who's ever Russell Wilson is thick. All right. Russell Wilson is probably shorter than Drew Brees a little bit, but Russell Wilson is a brick shit house. That's different.
Yeah. He's a stocky motherfucker.
Tua is like, still looks like he's kind of at a high school level of physicality, which is not a good thing. I'm not saying that he's not a talented thrower of the ball, because he's incredibly accurate. I love the left hand. It looks weird. I think it looks weird for the receivers too, which kind of freaks me out. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it looks weird for receivers. I think it looks weird coming out of left hand because they're used to that right hand all the time. That right hand coming up over the top.
Is the spin different? And you would know this more than I do. Is the spin different with a left-handed quarterback versus the right? Like, is the spiral different? Like,
not necessarily. I mean, it's gonna be spinning at you, but I don't think you're really tracking which way it's spinning, because it would spin opposite. It would spin the opposite direction. But as far as spin and everything, they have this. I mean, he's got perfect form. If you watch Tua's form, it's beautiful.
Right.
it's hand over the top, it's down, everything. I mean, it's, you know.
So do you think okay, so in comparing to Drew Brees, do you think that he has the, some or really any of the intangibles that Brees had that made him an elite quarterback? Or do you think that Tua is going to fall, or do you think it's something that he's going to end up falling short on?
I don't think he has, and I don't even like saying this about another man, honestly, but like, I don't think he has the intestinal fortitude really to be a Drew Brees type, because Drew Brees had a chip on his shoulder from the very beginning. And Tua's, I feel like Tua's always just kind of been ushered into these roles. Like, it was like, oh, you're going to be the starter at Alabama, and now you're going to go in the first round. And it's like, Drew Brees had a little bit of hardship, had a little bit of chip, had a little bit of motivation behind what he was doing. And that really helped. Right. And the system, system.
And no. And I think you're right about that. So I don't know. I when I watch Tua play, like I see these flashes where he's just a fantastic quarterback, and I can see why, people like watching him play. But there's other times where I see the decision making, and it's like, is this really something that's going to get fixed with experience, or is this guy going to be like Baker Mayfield, who just makes shitty decisions at the worst possible fucking time?
Right. And it's almost an opposite personality thing too, if you think about it. Tua, soft-spoken, very humble, right? And then you have Baker, who's got a chip on his shoulder, which I love. I love all that Baker stuff. I mean, he's cocky as shit. He's cocky shit. Hey, he has to be, all right? Mm-hmm. He has
especially in Cleveland.
Dude, he's a 6 foot, 190 pound soaking wet white guy playing quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, all right? Yep. He has to have some fucking giddy up in his step, dude. He has to. He just has to. And Tua's got drive behind it. I'm not saying Tua doesn't have any drive. I'm saying it's a little bit different. And
it takes a certain type to be a franchise quarterback. And you look at it, and I think, when I think about it, like I'm going to bring Gardner Minshew in as a comparison here for a second, but just hear me out. I'm not saying like talent wise or anything, but like Gardner, after this last week, and the Eagles' performance, Gardner went to his coach and said, I want the starting position. And, for the Eagles. And, coach said, no, we're committed to Jalen. But he went in there and he fought for his position. He made it clear that that's what he would like to be. And when I look at Tua in the way that he is, yes, he's very humble. He's very soft-spoken. I think he's a nice guy. I don't know that I see the same level of confidence in the approach that Gardner Minshew has.
Right. Gardner Minshew is confident. If you've ever watched any interviews with him or anything, he's a funny dude. He's a funny dude. Like he's more of like he's out there it's kind of the Baker thing. It's the Baker cocky kind of camaraderie type of deal. Also, Gardner Minshew didn't go into that coach's office without the absolute go ahead from a couple of teammates at least, or at least a couple of weeks of like rumblings, like people talking like, hey man, like, can we get Gardner in there? Gardner's running good reps, like for real. I don't think it was just Gardner Minshew being like, yes, I'm going to start. I think it was had built up, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause right.
No. And I don't, and honestly, like, on Gardner's side, like, I don't blame him for doing that. Like, I would have too after I deliver that kind of results and beat down on my opponent. Like, I don't blame him at all. But I just, like I said, with Tua, I don't know, man. I don't see it. And I think that when you're going to be in that position, leading an offense like that, like, I think that confidence, like even Kurt Warner is a humble guy. But when he's speaking, you pay the fuck attention because he is confident. He has a great delivery and approach to how he handles things. And so I think that that's kind of where the difference is there. You know what I mean? Like, it's
right.
If you're not going to have that spine to stand up and stand firm, then it's hard to make it in the NFL without that, man.
And Tony, how much of that standing firm comes from the fact that they win? So the soft-spoken guys kind of have to win for a while. Do you know what I'm saying? While Baker hasn't really won that much, he's gonna just kind of scave some of that off with just bravado. He's just gonna drive right through it. That's how Baker does things, right? Yeah. And if Tua were to win in Miami, I think we would see people go, oh, okay, well, this approach is correct then, right?
Right. Well, I mean, and obviously, like they're winning tonight, and record wise, I mean, as long as they close it out tonight, that's going to put them at 8-7. So, I mean, for their regard, like they're certainly, and we're certainly seeing a better Dolphins team than we saw last year. So, I mean, in that regard, like, I mean, Tua is definitely making progress, but they've got to really get themselves next year into a position where they're not just fighting for a wild card, they're fighting for their division. And I know that's hard considering the division they're in, but they got to do something.
He's capable. He's capable. And the thing is, like, just like Jalen Hurts, I'm looking at Jalen Hurts numbers right now just because I wanted to see how legitimate Gardner's, you go out there and torch somebody, you want to start, but Jalen Hurts, 87 quarterback rating. Middle, that's a little bit above average, I believe. Or is that?
Yeah, it's a little above average. Yeah.
And then almost 3,000 yards, 16-9. So 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Not bad. He also is more athletically gifted than Gardner Minshew. He runs the ball. Mobile. He runs the ball better. He's a brick shit house.
Yeah.
Born leader. I definitely keep Jalen Hurts as the starter. I think I agree with those coaches, obviously.
I mean, and no, and that's the thing is, I'm not saying that Jalen should have been the starter, or
I know
the Gardner should have been the starter. Like I understand, especially with a kid like Jalen Hurts. Like, I mean, those numbers, like 16-9. This is what, his second year.
Yep.
Second year under center.
Second,
that's not bad. Throw for 3,000 yards. I mean,
right.
Especially with everything that Philly's had to deal with. I mean, he lost Zach Ertz. I mean,
he's only made 21 career starts. So Jalen Hurts on his 21st career start. So yeah,
I mean, and it's not like you can try to say, oh well, Patrick Mahomes. No, Jalen Hurts is a different quarterback. Not everybody's going to put up those numbers. So let's not even waste our time with that argument.
Yes,
and so I mean, like Jalen Hurts is the right choice right now. Gardner is not a bad quarterback. Don't get me wrong. He's not a bad quarterback. I like the guy, but Jalen Hurts is the better option right now, especially if he's putting up those numbers with that roster. And like I said, losing Zach Ertz.
Tony, if we could have put Gardner, if you just take Gardner Minshew and put him in the exact same situation that Drew Brees was put into, the exact same thing. He gets drafted into the league in the third round like Drew Brees did to San Diego, and then they say his shoulder's done, and the whole thing happens. I think Gardner Minshew could be a Hall of Famer like Drew Brees, honestly, but it is all about the situation. It is all about what situation you're put into. It is all, like Patrick Mahomes. If we're talking about Patrick Mahomes, we are putting him on a whole different level, not only because his talent was fucking transcendent. He had a system in which was already established, and Alex Smith was doing good in. And Alex Smith, I love you, buddy. You were a good NFL quarterback, but you are not talent level of Patrick Mahomes, and you did very well in Kansas City. Like Cowherd say, he's not a Hall of Famer, he's in the Hall of Very Good. And I have nothing but respect for Alex Smith. I've met the guy; he's a really nice guy. But I would say that's a hard thing. And like I said, I respect Gardner for having the confidence to do that, but I think you're going to need to maybe that's what. If you're not going to be able to keep Jameis Winston, like if something is up enough that Jameis Winston is going to be something that the Saints can stick through, maybe you try to pull down Gardner Minshew. I mean, Gardner's also pulling one of the worst mistakes you can ever pull as a backup quarterback in the NFL, and that's to become visible. As a backup quarterback in the NFL, you better be non-visible. Like, we know who Kansas City's backup quarterback is. I bet 90% of our audience right now probably doesn't know who Kansas City's backup quarterback is. Well, yeah, and that's normally what it is by design. But I mean, and I will say that on a normal basis, yeah, you're right. And I think Gardner really he's trying to get his name out there. He's a passionate dude, and I think that in the right circumstance, he could be successful. But I don't blame the Eagles coaching staff for sticking with Jalen Hurts. Like, that's the right choice, really. Absolutely. And the reason why people bomb on it so much about these guys coming up and saying like, oh, hey, I need to be the starter. I need to do this. I need to do that, is because it starts with I need to do this. When if you're the backup quarterback on an NFL team, you better start talking about the we part, because that's how you stay a backup quarterback in the NFL.
Right. No, and you're right about that. You're right about that. It's something that, you know, the rest of the backups in the league are going, what the hell? It's like Chase Daniel. That's like Chase Daniel going into Andy Reid's office when it was still him and Alex Smith, and going, I will start over Alex Smith because I beat the Broncos.
They'd have been like, oh, or we'll cut you.
Exactly.
Or we'll cut, like, yeah.
No, you're exactly right. Okay, so let me ask you this. Did you watch Thursday Night Football with the Titans and the 49ers?
No, I did not.
Kyle Shanahan is the reason the 49ers are struggling. I'm not saying Garoppolo is the best quarterback, but the problem is Kyle Shanahan. They were leading the Titans 10-0 at the half and had been holding them through the whole fucking game. And then Mike Vrabel, you know, took a page out of his mentor, Bill Belichick's book, and just fucking steamrolled them through in the second half. 120-17.
Right.
And I'm not saying the Titans aren't talented. They're a threat to the Chiefs winning the AFC 1 seed. But Kyle Shanahan is a fucking problem.
Kyle Shanahan is a problem, and I'll tell you what my opinion on why he is a problem is. So imagine that you're, and this actually happened around me. Imagine that you're the owner of a factory that makes auto parts, okay? And your grandfather started it, your father backed him up, and then you're down the line, right? When new ownership takes over, you have to prove, number one, that you are the boss and that you know what you're doing, okay? Kyle Shanahan has been living off the fact that Mike Shanahan was making all the tools for a long time, and all of his employees respected him and followed what he said. And now his son is going to come in and run the company because the dad's retired, right? And I know it's not the same team, but you know that that's in the back of some of those guys' heads. Like, Kyle Shanahan, why are you in the NFL again? Because your dad was Mike Shanahan. I understand that you know football, but you're not built like Mike is. You need to prove to us that you know how to win. You're built like your dad was, maybe.
This guy is blowing more leads than a noisy fucking journalist. And I don't, and here's the thing. You have this consistent problem that Shanahan has. And that's why I have a hard time believing that he's going to be able to find any success in the NFL, because at the end of the day, you can't count on him, because he can do the regular stuff.
Right.
But he can't win when he should.
Right. And we can sit here and say that maybe it was a bad flip of the ball, or maybe he got some unfortunate breaks, but it's a repeating pattern now. And, you know, patterns create truth at some point. So you have to just look at what is going wrong at this point. And is it because I don't think he has the support of his players on a personal level? Does that make sense? Like on a together team family level.
He doesn't have the control of the room the way his dad did.
No way.
And that's why coaches played for Mike Shanahan, or that's why players played for Mike Shanahan, because like, if you ever watch videos of Mike Shanahan speaking, like, even if it's just like a, you know, camcorder in the room while he's talking to his players, or in an interview even, or at a press conference, like, that man is very well spoken. Once he's been around for a minute, he knows your name. He looks at you. He makes eye contact. Right. He shakes your hand firmly. It makes you feel like you're a person. Kyle Shanahan does not have, again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with Tua. Kyle Shanahan does not have, he doesn't have that aura,
right?
That delivery that you get from Bill Belichick,
right?
Or like even Sean McVay.
You could argue, Tony, that he doesn't have that aura because he didn't build it himself. Bill Belichick came up himself. Mm-hmm. Sean McVay came up himself. Those guys built what they are sitting on, and they know it.
look at the difference in the. We'll talk about this aura. You know, that we're talking about this example we're using. Look at the aura of Bill Belichick. Look at the aura of his brother, who has a job because his brother is Bill Belichick. Right. Steve Belichick,
his son.
His son, or is his son brother?
It's his son, yeah.
His son. Okay, all right. Excuse me.
Is
his son. Okay, so we're looking at almost a fucking identical situation here. Like in Steve, I'm sorry, is a better coach for the most part than Kyle Shanahan, but he still does not have that aura that his dad has.
You're saying Steve Belichick is a better coach than Kyle Shanahan?
Right now, yeah.
I think that's ridiculous. I mean, Steve, you're talking about Steve Belichick.
Yeah.
Steve Belichick is like the safeties coach or something. He's like an assistant defensive coordinator.
Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan has a liability wherever he's coaching.
He's never been put in the situation that Kyle Shanahan's been put in. So you can't really say that he wouldn't.
Yeah, that's true.
He wouldn't. He'd be better by any. I mean, he hasn't done anything. Like he literally has not done anything in the NFL besides have a mullet on the sideline and make people laugh at him.
Okay. All right. So let me adjust it to this then. Well, but you still cannot deny. I won't say that they're better coaches. I'll take that part back. But Steve Belichick does not have the aura that his dad does.
Yeah. No. He's going to live in that shadow his whole life unless he really comes out and like just absolutely kills. And that can be motivation for that too. You know what I'm saying? Like some people get motivation from that. Your dad was great. I'll be greater. And some people succeed in doing that. Most people fail in doing that when they have a father who is because that shadow.
They're trying to get out of the shadow instead of just create their own.
Right.
And that's the easiest way I can explain it.
Yeah.
All right. And then and then we had Saturday night was Packers beat the Browns 24-22. Colts beat the Cardinals 22-16. Any thoughts on either of those ones?
The Cardinals game, Kyler was in that game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyler was frustrated on the sideline, maybe because of the coaching of Cliff Kingsbury, possibly because of the coaching of Cliff Kingsbury, or that his coaches started looking at him.
So Dan, okay, Dan, okay. Let me ask you a question here, Dan. Would you happen to say that it is now evident that somebody who has alluded for the last 2 fucking years that Cliff Kingsbury's coaching is a problem might be right?
It's more of a solution than it is a problem. It's more positive than it is negative, for sure. There's more pros than cons with Cliff Kingsbury, and that's all you can ask for. I mean, yeah, could they get somebody who's better? Absolutely. But I think the pros vastly outweigh the cons with Cliff Kingsbury. I think that Cliff Kingsbury has that aura. He has the aura for sure, right? And it's with just natural likability, obviously, because he's, what's the dude's name? Ryan, Notebook.
Oh, right. Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling. He looks like Ryan Gosling. So, like, what are you not going to be like? Look at that guy. I bet he knows something about football, right? I mean, he looks like he's acting as a football coach. He looks like he's acting like a football coach, which is hilarious. But I think he has that aura, and he doesn't have the talent, because I think Shanahan has the talent and the knowledge and the intelligence. And I think Kingsbury is the opposite side of that, where Kingsbury has that draw and that aura, and maybe not as much of the actual X's and O's talent that Kyle Shanahan does.
Yeah.
Did you agree with that?
Yeah, no, that's very, very true. I feel like maybe he would be, Kyle Shanahan would be better off in a role where he's not the head of the team. Not even sure I'd trust him to call plays for a while. Because, even he was calling the plays in the Falcons blowing the 28-3 lead, wasn't he?
Yes. Josh McDaniels and Kyle Shanahan have a lot of similaries. I'll say that. Yeah. Where they should be the scientists. They should not be the drug reps. They need to be the scientists that create the pharmaceutical and not the ones who sell it.
Agreed.
In order to be a successful head coach, you have to make your own dope and you have to sell your own dope. That's basically you know what I'm saying? Like, for real. You have to be able to do it all. You have to be able to be the X's and O's guy and be at least on one side of the ball, because nobody's on both sides of the ball. Belichick's obviously the greatest coach of all time. He's totally defensive. Like, does he know more than you and I will ever know about fucking offenses in the NFL?
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, you have to know. You still have to know a lot about the other side of the ball when you're the mastermind of one side.
That's what you have to know about.
That's just the focal point from how you understand the game.
Right. Exactly. You have to know about in which way they're going to attack you instead of which way you're going to attack them.
Right. Okay.
Right.
And all right, so we'll move on. Falcons beat the Lions 20-16. Nobody cared about that game.
Nobody cares.
Bengals beat the Ravens 41-21. Did that one shock you? Joe Burrow beating Lamar Jackson?
Not really. Joe Burrow has got ice in his veins, man. He reminds me a lot of, this is actually kind of going to insult Joe Burrow. Matt Ryan is who reminds me a lot of. And I think that in that system under Zach Taylor, the old University of Nebraska alum, under Zach Taylor's got a great system put together. And Joe Burrow is cold as ice for real. And he's got a lot of weapons too. Jamar Chase couldn't catch a ball. You remember that? We made fun of Jamar Chase for like a while at the beginning of the season because like he just looked super freakish, and then when he threw him a screen, bounced off his hands, and we were like, "Uh-oh, that's not good." Yeah. But now they're, they got the system together as threat, and he can obviously catch the ball. It's not, he's a fucking NFL wide receiver.
They make me nervous because that's who the Chiefs play this weekend, and Joe Burrow threw for 525 yards in that game. He threw for 299 yards in the first half alone. Like 3 touchdowns, 299 yards in the first half. That was the stat line. That's just ridiculous.
I'm going to go ahead and start the fucking petition right now also for Zach Taylor as the coach of the year in the NFL. Zach Taylor is doing the best job. Outside of obviously Belichick. Goddamn, that motherfucker. He's doing it again. But Belichick and Zach Taylor is doing the best job, and nobody even knows who the Cincinnati Bengals head coach is. Like, if you were just like, who is it? They'd be like, Marvin Lewis?
Yeah.
Marvin Lewis?
Well, it's because, for a while, they were kind of like the Browns. When they changed coats, that was your reminder to change your air filter every year.
Right.
I will say that Zach Taylor has to be the front runner, but I'm also like, I don't know. Zach, him and Belichick. I mean, especially because with the results that the Patriots have put down with a rookie quarterback and everything else, like Zach Taylor, Bill Belichick, like that's your two.
Bill will win because it's the sexy story.
Right.
You have Brady on kind of an MVP type year. And then Belichick wins the coach of the year, and they just want that to happen. So it's probably going to, especially if New England wins the AFC East again without Brady. Oh yeah. It's, he's coach of the year.
Do you think that their loss to the Bills this week was more about Josh Allen being actually on point, or more about, was it more of a Bills win or Patriots loss?
I like Josh Allen, so I'm going to say it was a Bills win. I think that Josh Allen deserves that credit, but at the same time, I think Bill is fucking playing. He is playing so reserved right now to just make sure that he wins games. Like he's gonna make it as simple as possible, and that's why Mac Jones is not going to win Rookie of the Year, because he is going to make this as simple as possible for him. He knows exactly what he's doing. And that's why he probably should win Coach of the Year, is because he's going to make this so simplified. He's going to win 11 games. Yeah. Like, that's ridiculous.
And no, and you're not wrong. I cannot disagree with you. Now, the Chargers losing to the Texans, where do you think the blame lies in that one?
Who fucking cares? No, it's no. Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is a teenager looking face. Okay.
Right now. Yeah.
And I feel like maybe he doesn't get the respect of teammates because they feel like he's still a kid. And it's not like they're just like Not from the way that he acts, seriously, not from the way that he acts, but they like he's a huge dude who's probably kind of goofy and young, and they're like, well, we really can't respect him as a serious quarterback at this point. So I feel like the Chargers are either on or they're off, and it's all about that I mean, you can feel it in pregame, dude. You can feel it when you're warming up pregame and the music's going and you're out there warming up. You can feel whether there's electricity on your sideline or if it's on the others. And when that game starts, it continues through that. And it's just a thing. It's just a thing of a group of people together.
And I mean, and to Herbert's credit in that game, yes, they lost 41-29, but Herbert also was 27 of 35 with 336 yards and a touchdown.
He's a stud. They know he's a stud.
Herbert is a stud. He is. I thought it was a great pick when the Chargers grabbed him. I think that he, as long as he doesn't get beat by the medical team like Tyrod Taylor did, I think he's going to be all right. And he's going to make the Chargers a force to be reckoned with. Is even I say that as a Chiefs fan, but I like a competitive decision. I like a competitive division. I think it's great.
For a decade. I mean, we talked about it after I went to the San Diego game in Kansas City. That man he's on. He's big. He throws accurate passes. He has a cannon. It's like, but I don't think he's that guy that's going to go if his team's a little scatterbrained or they're kind of not feeling the energy. He's not going to pull everybody together at this point and go, hey, fucking buck up right now. We got to go.
Right.
And he's not going to do that.
I mean, and obviously part of this is, Herbert put up 29, but when you allow the Texans to score 41 points on you, obviously there's something wrong on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
So, and so I would honestly, even in just the stuff that I watched, I would definitely put that loss on the Chargers defense. And that's why they're not winning the AFC. They're hoping for a wild card,
Right. Yeah. In that defense, as far as Los Angeles goes, Derwin,
too soon.
Dude, yeah, I know, right? Derwin James. Derwin James is the only dude on that defense that is really, I don't want to say engaged, but they're just they're very it's very strange to watch. I'm not the only. Okay, so I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought that, because when I look at their scheme and the way that they do things, and I understand this, your plan of attack is going to change from game to game based on what your opponent's offense is going to do. But I have not found any consistency in their performance and what they do. Tony, I'm going to give you a reason for that. And this is obviously my opinion, but the reason for that is defensive players, dude, have this mentality. Okay, so San Diego plays what we would call a bend but don't break defense, okay? So they're going to keep everything in front of them. They're not going to allow big plays. They're going to force you to make mistakes by running more plays and be patient, correct? That is why they are very good against Kansas City, because
that's how you stop Kansas City.
Patrick loves them fucking that shit. Falling down, cross his body. No, just throw a screen pass and you will beat San Diego. Throw this simple dump down. You can beat San Diego's defense. And you look at,
that's how Kansas City beat the Steelers this week. Was they took a lot of those dump downs. It was the second or the third quarter before Kansas City had a play that was over 20 yards.
Right, and that's why they won. Right. I mean, yes. So he's doing that, but with the Chargers defense specifically, I think the reason why they're so aloof in things is because they play bend, don't break. But all of those defensive guys' mentalities is these motherfuckers ain't going to get a yard. We're going to make them go backward. And that's what they want to do. They don't want to be back there play prevent every play. Derwin James wants to go fucking hit a motherfucker, dude. He wants to go hit somebody, and it needs to be hard and it needs to be behind the line of scrimmage. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
the bend don't break stuff just doesn't play to the mentality very well. That's all I'm saying.
I think that Derwin would actually, and I know that this sounds crazy and there's some Cowboy fans that are going to love this, but honestly, I think Derwin James would be a better piece on the Cowboys defense. I think they would make a lot of noise if they had a guy like him on their defense. I think he would be more appropriate there. You know what I mean?
Then who? What do you mean by that? that if the Cowboys added Derwin James, they'd be better? Because that's
Like, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if they had Derwin James on their defense, like, and I'm just saying, but like, I'm also saying, like, scheme wise, like, not just because of his presence, but scheme wise, like the way that they run things, I feel like he would be better utilized in that situation versus where he's at now.
Right. And yes, but also, dude, he's kind of the staple of that bend don't break because they have him back as a safety. You know what I'm saying? Like, bend don't break is all about your safeties in your corners. It's all about keeping everything in front of you. And like, yes, those dudes, like, I don't mean Derwin James wants to go back there and hit people in the backfield because he probably doesn't want to do that every play, but he does want to hit wide receivers while they're trying to catch the ball because he's fucking huge and he's as fast as all of them are. But he's got like 20 or 30 pounds on him. Right. You get what I'm saying? Like, dude, when I saw him, I was like, why is that linebacker playing safety right now? What did they do? I was like, did they go in preview? I'm not even kidding you. And I was like, and he's wearing number 33. I was like, what does that even make any sense? I was like, what is that? Who is that dude? And I was like, it's fucking Derwin James. Like, he is gigantic, dude. He is fucking huge. And I was like,
Derrick Henry on defense.
I was like, okay, I get it. And he's that back line of defense. That's why they can run, just keep everything in front of you because they know that he can play linebacker on the open field. If somebody catches the ball back there, they ain't gonna fucking want to get hit by that motherfucker. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's why they'll dump it down and try and like do it. It's like they don't want to get hit by that motherfucker, but just the mentality of bend but don't break does not work for defensive players.
Right.
Doesn't work.
And I see what you're saying. Now, and obviously some of these other games that, scores don't really matter. Bucks beat the Panthers 32-6. Eagles beat the Giants 34-10. We were kind of talking about Gardner Minshew in that game.
This Giants defense, he was really ripping it up.
Yeah, he was. And we kind of did talk about a little bit. Before we get to the Chiefs and the Steelers game, Bears beat the Seahawks 25-24. Nick Foles was 24 of 35 for 250 yards and a touchdown. Do you think this is the signal of the end of Russell Wilson in Seattle?
It's the end of Pete Carroll in Seattle for sure. If he makes it, I mean, he's going to make it about a week into the offseason.
You think it'll take that long?
Yeah, I think they'll wait till the end of the season, just out of respect for him and just kind of.
I mean like a week after the season.
Yeah, I think it'll. No, like after the regular season, for sure. I think.
Yeah,
they get rid of him pretty quick.
Week 18 finishes up Tuesday morning. Oh, Pete Carroll's been fired.
Yeah.
He probably gets fired after the game.
They might let him resign.
They let him. Yeah.
Pete Carroll resigns, and then everybody goes, "He got fired," and they're like, "Yeah, we know."
Does Russ stay in Seattle, or does he move on too?
It depends on how they plan to not only replace that whole system there, but coaches and players. But how they plan to include him in the plans. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if they're going to come to him and go, all right, Russ, this is your franchise. We're 100% behind Russell Wilson as the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson is the face of the Seattle Seahawks. He's going to be. What do you want to do? I think he stays there. But if they're like all like, well, I don't know who we're going to hire. Maybe we shouldn't talk to our players about it because this is our job. Yeah, then he's going to leave. Ciara's husband will leave the Seattle Seahawks. Ciara's husband will leave if that's the case, because Ciara's husband needs to have power just like his wife. They both like power a lot.
They don't want her to have to go back to shaking her ass on music videos for them to pay the bills.
Right. He's like, no, I make the money because you won't show anybody else that. And she's like, oh, honey. And he's like, no way will my wife ever have a job. Dirt to dirt.
Okay, so Chiefs Steelers. Let's go ahead and dip into this one. Chiefs beat the Steelers 36-10. Patrick Mahomes, 23 of 30 for 258 yards and 3 touchdowns, thanks to some really good position from the defense multiple times. Like
some really good position by the defense.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, half the reason that the Chiefs were able to do so much in that game was because they had great field position the entire fucking game.
Pittsburgh in an advantageous defensive alignment. They're in that then offensively advantageous defensive alignment.
But I mean, here's the thing. That's the thing, because and don't get me wrong, I know that they ran a lot yesterday, which given the situation, I don't blame them, especially as you're getting this late into the season. You got trying to preserve everybody. Travis Kelce was out with COVID. Tyreek Hill was a kind of a last day add-on. They weren't really sure that was going to happen. So I mean, he really didn't get very much time to practice. He only had 2 catches yesterday. Byron Pringle balled the fuck out yesterday, and I absolutely love it. I like that dude. I want to see him get more consistency. I know he's had some drops. I know he's not perfect, but he's better than he was last year even. And so that makes me advocate for him that much more. You know what I mean?
I will give you this. Byron Pringle is as good as Ted Ginn Jr. was. Seriously. I'll give you that. And tell me that's pretty accurate, right? I mean, that's kind of.
I mean, I've heard worse comps. I've made worse comps, so I can't even hate on it.
Ted Ginn was above average, and he was a great returner.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. It's like it's not an insult. It was I did not expect that comparison. It was funny to me.
Right, but Byron Pringle is a sinewy 175 pounds. He's a very sinewy 175 pounds.
The other piece that shocked me was they came out this morning because, did you see that play where CEH got injured last night? Did you watch that play?
Yeah.
How is his collarbone not broken? That's my question.
Well, luckily with collarbones, they're weird as shit, and you can really never tell. This is the move with collarbones every time. You know what I'm saying? That could be anything. This is the move every time. Every time somebody breaks a collarbone, it's like because it's inside your body, there's no limb to hold on to or anything. It's weird.
And that's the thing is it's just like because I watched that play multiple times because I was like, because I had a friend of mine that I talk football with during games sometimes as well, and he was saying that I was just like, and I was sitting there, I was watching, I was like, no, there's no way it's not broken, but he's week to week. I would expect we're probably not going to bring him back for the rest of the season anyway, just because you're going to have, they're fighting for that bye. Chances are they're probably going to get it. Ideally, as long as they win out, they get it. And you can finish the season with Derek Williams or it's Damian Williams and Derek Gore.
Yeah. Yep.
And Damian Williams and Derek Gore. Obviously Derek Gore cracked some stuff open yesterday. He's clearly a talented runner.
Right.
Let CEH rest so that you have all 3 of them in good form when you get into the playoffs, because and Gore can be a great pass catching back too. And that opens up. That's another target for Patrick.
Tony, do me a favor, because I'm about to go on a Chiefs thing. Move your Chiefs Kingdom sign, that beautiful sign you have, a little bit to your inside. Like move it more towards your chair. There you go. Perfect. Right there. Okay, good. That's a beautiful sign, by the way. It's a beautiful sign.
I love that sign.
It's fucking beautiful, and it's authenticated. It's like a stitched jersey, but it's authenticated. But the Kansas City Chiefs, we're sitting here. There were people freaking out, dude. There are people freaking out. You can rewind on our shows. Go back to another sports report. Dudes were on here freaking out, Will Morgan. Dudes were on here freaking out about fucking Patrick Mahomes. Like, I don't know if he's any good. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Like, it's the fucking NFL. If it were easy, everybody would do it. All right. It's not fucking easy.
What makes it even amazing is when this turnaround happened was when the Chiefs entered the hardest part of their season. At the point of their turnaround, they had the highest ranked strength of schedule in the league for the remaining it was week 7, I think, if I remember correctly, because we're talking about the fact that they were 3-4, and there was like, oh, are they going to make the playoffs? Yeah. They're the first team in the AFC to secure a playoff berth. And if they win out, they keep the number 1 seed.
Yep.
Because if Tennessee loses, like if Tennessee could lose one of the next 2 weeks, like that would be just fucking great.
Their fan base follows the aura of that team too, to the point where it's like, well, maybe we'll show up today, and like maybe we won't, and like, and then like, shit, like, we shucks, we lost one. We'll still win the AFC because it's like it's when you have 15, it's kind of like having 12 in Green Bay or 12.
It wasn't a game; it was a massacre.
It was.
It's here's the thing, but part of this was Patrick adjusting to a new style, because just like we were talking about it a little bit ago, Patrick has adjusted to where he's not going for the deep ball every play anymore. He is taking those dinks and dunks and just working his way around the field, forcing you to pull that bend don't break in, because they're just marching down the field methodically. As what was it? Hank Stram used to say. What was it? Hank Stram matriculating the ball down the field.
Matriculate it.
Yeah, matriculate the ball down. Matriculate. That's what it was. Matriculate the ball down the field.
Play fast, but don't hurry.
Right. These guys are just chipping it away. And, you've got everybody to say, can't win without Kelsey.
Doesn't matter.
The Chiefs offense has embodied next man up over the last 2 years, because if you look at it, they've had so many fucking injuries, not just the issues that they had with the line last year, but the Chiefs have worked so hard through that next man up mentality. And I think it's what makes them one of the most competitive teams in the NFL, because they don't quit. They do believe it's next man up. And, Kelsey's not here. We're going to let Byron Pringle have a career day, because we know they're going to double Hill, because that's exactly what they did. They double Hill all game. That's why he only got 2 catches.
Tony, you're totally onto something there, because I think it's literally like, it's almost like if you're playing Madden and your whole roster is just like, after 3 years of a franchise, is just stacked as fuck. And you're out there just like, you're like trying to get guys catches. Like, I'm trying to throw it to Kelsey so he can have 12 catches for 157 and 2 touchdowns. And you're trying to like get to these guys, and you start forcing things. You start throwing ridiculous passes. And in the NFL, you cannot do that. If you're in your first year of your franchise on Madden, guess what you do? You don't have any wide receivers or anything. You just throw to the fucking open guy, and you put up better numbers than you did when you had a stacked roster. So exactly. I feel like it's the same thing. Like, Pat, the whole point here is 15 is so fucking good that he thinks it's a goddamn game of Madden at this point. Like, he is so good that he's like up there controlling everything. And when he has a loaded roster, he goes nuts. He just like try to throw it everywhere. Like,
it is so hard to see him on the field or on the sideline, even when they're down and he's not relaxed. He may be like trying to get guys amped up or talking to somebody about something like, hey, we need to do this. Like, he may be passionate, but like he is just so relaxed. He's having fun. He's talking to the guys. He's, just like some of the more, the guys that we consider the GOAT and stuff like that. Now he compliments guys that tackle him, oh, hey, that was a good tackle, man. Huh?
Yep. Favre
and
Rodgers.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Patrick Mahomes is consistently and methodically earning the reputation that he has in this league, and people question it. And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, well, I guess we can't question it anymore. It's just like, and that's the thing, is all of these great guys get it. Everybody starts saying stuff about Tom Brady, and then all of a sudden he punches a team in the mouth, and you're just like, oh, okay, we can't say that shit for a while.
Right.
Patrick does the same fucking thing. They're on an 8-game win streak right now. They're 3-point favorites to beat the Bengals. They're probably going to be at least, 6 points on who is it they played the last week? What is that? I can't remember who they played the last week, but it's.
Well, they played the Chargers last week.
Right.
Week before last, they played the Chargers. Yeah.
Right. I'm talking about the last week of the season.
Oh, who did they play last week? I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, it's the Bengals and then somebody else. And it's just like, they're just going. Like, I know they play the Bengals next week. It's going to be a shootout. If you're a betting person, take the over on that game. I don't care if the over is 80 points, take the over.
Yeah.
This is going to be the game where everybody starts criticizing the Chiefs defense, because Joe Burrow is going to pick some shit apart. I love my team, but Joe Burrow is one hell of a quarterback, and it's going to be a shootout.
Right. And with these teams that have this kind of talent, that have this kind of pretty rooted in success at this point in the NFL,
right.
Obviously the Kansas City Chiefs are a cornerstone of the NFL at this point. They're one of the great franchises, especially right now. when you're like that, it's you against you. It's not you against everybody else. It's
Right.
you against your own mentality and your own mindset.
And these games the Chiefs lost earlier in the season when they were 3-4, they beat themselves every time. Penalties,
Yes.
stupid mistakes, Patrick not taking what the defense was giving him.
Yes.
Now that they fixed those issues, they're the best team in the NFL right now.
Right.
So, I mean,
there's multiple videos of him just missing, or he doesn't miss them though. Like wide open wide receivers. He's playing Madden, dude. He's not trying to throw it underneath for 6 yards and just keep this thing going. He's going across his body, 41 yards in the air. Tyreek Hill coming back to it, running across the like catch. Because he feeds off of that. He feeds off of that, whether he's away or at home. At home, he feeds off the crowd energy. Away, he feeds off the hate. And that's what happens. And he likes it, and that's what makes him play better. So, but he's understanding it. He'll get better at it. Don't worry about 15. I think we don't need to worry about 15.
Nope, we don't. All right, wrapping up Monday Night Football. Dolphins did beat the Saints 20-13. Tua finished with 19 of 26 for 198 yards and a touchdown. Kamara had 13 carries for 52 yards, and Jalen Waddle had 10 receptions for 92 yards and a touchdown. So,
Tony, just listening to those stats makes me further confirm why I did not watch that game. I watched the first 6 minutes of it, and I was like, this is going to be one of the most boring NFL games I've ever seen. And I bet it was. To anybody who watched that entire game, I apologize that you had to see that. And like the MLB, we will try to make some changes to help those things from happening. But that's
we've got one more thing before we wrap up. Who's your dick of the week?
Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is actually my dick of the last month. But I can't trump all. I can't just do Anthony Davis every week. So, but I am going to do Anthony Davis this week because Anthony Davis, if you do not I understand, and I've literally backed you on the whole, I can quit after a title thing, but you're not even in a contact sport, you fucking idiot. What part, seriously, what part of you're not going to get fucking brain damage from getting paid all that money do you not fucking understand? Oh, you might roll your ankle a couple times, but I swear to God, if I have to watch Anthony Davis on the floor again when he falls down, act like it is the biggest deal. Do your bones hit the wood every time that you fall down? They hit him so hard that you need to stay there and you need to stay there and literally kind of gawk at yourself over it. Anthony Davis, get the fuck out of here, dude.
What's really funny is and you're exactly right. But what's really funny is how much criticism everybody's like, oh, LeBron flops all the time. Watch Anthony Davis play fucking basketball. Come on.
Also, watch the fact that LeBron is doing that to play to referees, and Anthony Davis is doing it so he doesn't have to play. That's so he doesn't have thing. It's a whole different fucking thing.
It's LeBron James is working. Anthony Davis is that scene in Family Guy when Peter skins his knee and he's sitting there just
forever. He's that guy at work that will openly criticize other people for not working while he's standing on his phone. God, nobody fucking works hard around here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Nobody fucking works hard. Everybody's always gone after work. Got the flu and shit. That's Anthony Davis. He's the dick of the week because, come on, man, you are 7 feet tall, and you shoot a fadeaway jumper. I don't know how many of those there's ever been in the NBA, but there's a couple of them. And I'll tell you what, right now, Anthony Davis, you will never step into the realm. You will never step into the realm of this guy ever. You will never be anywhere close to what this dude did. All right, so
not a chance.
Not a fucking shot.
And you're exactly right. And it's interesting the parity that pops up in the NBA just like in the NFL. The different things that can happen and people are saying it's one thing, but when you look, no, it's the other thing that they're distracting you from. Like, we don't want. Oh no, we don't want to hate on Anthony Davis. He's not somebody that we hate on in sports media. That's what LeBron is for on the Lakers.
Right.
So we've got to focus on all the times that LeBron falls down. Let's not worry about the fact that Anthony Davis is about as good at taking a hit as Tyrone Woodley. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ,
Tyrone Woodley. It's like
God.
It's like the end scene in Waiting. It's like the end scene in Waiting where Mitch is just like, he's just burying everybody's he's like Monty with your quips and your quotes. He's like, you're the smartest guy that works at shenanigans. He's like that's what makes like that's like being the smartest kid with Down syndrome. He's like, he's bombing on everybody. And then he goes to Calvin, the Calvin dude who can't piss in public. And he goes, you know what, Anthony Davis, you're too easy. You're too easy. Like that's what it is at this point. Like, you're Anthony Davis, you're too easy. We really want to make fun of you because you're too fucking, because everybody knows already that you're too easy to make fun of. Like, we just don't even want to do it.
Like, I wish I could have gotten to that much of being a train wreck, because like I was the kid that got bullied. So like I was still like, I was still noticed enough that I got shit, but I wasn't pathetic enough that everybody was just like, oh, he's not even worth it.
Right.
I mean, if I had just fallen a little farther, just a little farther.
Tony, you should just let yourself hit rock bottom, bud. I mean, God damn. I mean, I know all about letting yourself hit rock bottom, and you should sometimes just to clear out the old, right?
Yeah, but nothing's worse. Nothing is worth hitting rock bottom and being a Raiders fan. So I think I'll just stick it out.
Right. They're not even in Oakland anymore.
What?
They just switch around and shit.
The A's are about to be gone from Oakland too, man. And I think that's funny. Vegas is getting both of them.
They got the Warriors.
Here's my thing. Like, if I could talk to any sports person, like anybody that's been involved in any kind of sports related content over the last 30 years, I would want to have a conversation with Trey Parker and Matt Stone regarding the movie Basketball.
Oh yeah.
And how many things that thing hit the nail on the head on. Just like that would, like we talk about The Simpsons getting it right. Go back and watch that movie. Yeah, there are some jokes that may not be as socially acceptable right now, but change your tape on and keep watching the movie. It's worth it because it's funny as hell.
Beautiful.
Comedic gold. One of my favorite sports movies, honestly.
Absolutely. It's beautiful.
All right, man.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm so glad you joined me tonight. Josh dipped out being a slacker because, he pays for hair dye, not internet. But we love him. And Tony C on assignment. We're thinking about both of you. Hope you guys are doing all right.
Tony, man. Thinking about you, buddy.
Any final thoughts?
No, not really.
All right. So for all of Pinfall Streams, the Dick and myself, thank you for tuning in to Sports Report. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good night.
Guys.
I should have had that thing ready. I'm such a fucking failure.